Hi everybody. Let us know if you cannot hear me. I'm used to speaking loud, but I don't want to speak too loud. My name is Terri Howell, and I am Outreach Specialist with California Telephone Access Program. I realize most of you are aware of CTAP. There's my picture. Don't I look just like Angelina Jolie? Everybody tells me that. So that's my contact information, and I'm more of a person to contact for presentations or special events. Our general 800 number is the number for anything else. I don't like people to call me and I'm out in the field and I can't call them back right away if they need something. So our general 800 number, which will come up later, is probably the best number to have. So a lot of you know about CTAP, but I'm just going to give you some general info. We are a state-mandated program. We came about through some laws that have been passed over the years that are designed to help people with difficulties or disabilities and who are having a hard time using a standard phone to be able to use a phone. So we provide assistive telephone equipment and accessories to people who are having a hard time. A lot of people think we're the phone company. We're not. We are a program of the California Public Utilities Commission. I like to tell people that because a lot of our customers have a hard time trusting that we're giving them phones at no cost. Everything is free. So we want them to be aware this is a state program that our taxes have paid for, and there's no tricks involved. And for a state program, we've made it pretty simple. You know, governments usually have a lot of rules in order to be eligible and to get something. Well, we don't make you jump through a hoop of fire or sell over the rights to your firstborn child. Even if you want to, you keep your kids and you can get a special phone, provided that you meet the 3 requirements. And the first one is just you have to live in California, regardless of your residency status. As long as you live here in California, you would be eligible. If you also have telephone services, at present time we're providing in-home phones, but we are looking into cell phones. We don't officially have any cell phones as a regular part of our program yet. Now the phone bill might be in your name, the person who needs the phone, or it might be in the name of somebody else in the household, parent, spouse. It doesn't matter as long as there's a phone line in the home. And then the third eligibility requirement that we look at is you have to have a difficulty using a standard phone. We don't say disability because a lot of people who really are eligible won't call themselves disabled. You know, that happens a lot with seniors, not with people who've had disabilities for quite a while. But we'll go to the next slide. And as a lot of you know, there is no cost or obligation to be in our program. No age restriction. They can be young or old, a child. We've given TTYs or special phones to children as young as 2 years old. So they'll start to learn how to use the phone even though they're not using it independently yet. Or a senior citizen, age, we don't look at age. We don't look at income. You could be rich like Donald Trump, or you can be poor like me. That doesn't matter. And we don't look at what insurance they have or don't have, what telephone company they have or don't have. Our phones are analog, but they run on most digital services with a filter. And also anybody who has difficulty seeing, hearing, speaking, moving, or remembering can apply for a phone. They don't have to be extreme. They might have a mild hearing loss. They might have cataracts, diabetes, glaucoma, macular degeneration. Anybody who's had their larynx removed, we provide the artificial larynx. Or somebody who has trouble getting up to get to the phone, or holding and dialing the phone, like somebody with Parkinson's, somebody who's has been in an accident, somebody who's had a stroke. So, and we talked about that it's all paid for through a surcharge. It's called the Relay Service Communication Device Fund Surcharge. Seems like everything in our program has a very long name, which is hard to remember. But it's just a few pennies a month that we're all contributing to the program that allow us to do everything that we do for free. Whether it sends somebody to your home to train you how to use a phone or giving you the actual phone equipment, everything is free. And we have over 100 pieces of equipment, so we're not going to go over all of them today, but we do have equipment and phones that cover all 5 of the difficulties we spoke about. So we have phones with talking buttons. We have very well amplified phones with flashing lights. We have phones that make your voice sound louder if you know people who have a weak voice because of injury or illness. We also have the artificial larynx that even if you do not have a voice box, you can have an artificial voice. I talked about that already. But we have not only phones, but we have accessories. This is one. I don't know if it's very clear, but it is something that makes your phone ring very loudly. We also have, for maybe somebody who's deaf and blind, we have an attachment that looks like the old-fashioned pager, and it vibrates to let you know the phone is ringing. And again, I was talking about the phones with the talking features. We have several phones with talking features, meaning their buttons talk. When you hit 2, you'll hear it say 2. We have a phone that has voice announcement. As you're scrolling down your speed dial numbers, it will say John Smith, Ray Johnson. We have a phone that has talking caller ID. So they'll hear the phone ring, and then they'll hear the phone say IRS, and then they know not to pick up the phone because they don't want to talk to the IRS guy. A lot of our phones like this one, the JV35, don't just cover one disability. It has the talking buttons and the very, very big buttons, but it also is amplified up to 37 decibels, which is over 3 times louder than a regular phone. And I spoke a little bit of the artificial larynx. These are 2 of the different.
Come here.
Is
there 9 different icons for what? These are buttons.
I'm sorry.
On those phones.
Can you repeat that?
Yeah, turn sassy. This is foreign. And I'm going through the interpreter. Video with the interpreter. I'm testing how many of the icons or buttons are on the phones besides the numbers.
We have over 100 phones in the program, so each phone is set up differently. Each phone has different functions. If any of you are interested, you can come into one of our offices. We have 7 throughout California that are all on our website.
What do you think the max? 9 buttons?
Oh, are you talking about speed dial locations, speed dial buttons?
Yeah.
We have some that have 10 that are just one touch, meaning you just touch one button to call John, another button to call Sarah. We have some that are 13. We have a few phones with built-in menus. When you go into the menu, you can dial up to 30, 40 people. So there's 30 and 40 speed dial. We also have an attachment.
Oh, I see. Okay.
We also have an attachment called an voice-activated dialer. It's not a phone, but it attaches to any phone we have, and it will allow you to program up to 40 people. and then you pick up the phone, and by voice you would say John Smith, and it will call John Smith for you. That's not a perfect piece of equipment. It sometimes misunderstands what you're saying. But that's up to 40 people by voice without even touching a button. Did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
So we have the artificial larynx. These are about $600 if you go out and buy one. With CTAP, if we give you a piece of equipment, it's free, and if it breaks, we will exchange it for free. So we like people to know that we don't just have phones, but there's other equipment we offer that makes communication possible over the phone. This isn't a very good picture, but this is an example of our photo phone. The top third of it has places, squares for up to 9 pictures. In each square you would put a picture of the person that we would program in that speed dial location. So I can put a picture of my daughter in the first square. We'll program her phone number at that location. To call my daughter, I would just pick up the phone and I would push down on the picture of my daughter to call her. So this is a good phone for maybe somebody with Alzheimer's, somebody who's had traumatic brain injury, possibly somebody with a developmental disability, and that will allow you to dial by picture. This is a phone, it's called the RC200, for somebody who may not be able to move at all. Could be somebody who's quadriplegic, somebody with cerebral palsy who can't move, maybe doesn't have the fine motor skills in order to dial a person. We can either hook this up with a voice-activated dialer so they can dial by voice, but if voice is a problem, we can hook it up where you can't see it very well, but there are 20 speed dial locations on the RC200. And we have a variety of switches to turn the phone on with. We can set the person up with whatever switch works for them. Either a switch that they can tap with the back of their hand to turn the phone on, a switch they can turn on using their tongue, their nose, their foot, or by puffing into a device. Once it's turned on, it will start scrolling to the different speed dial people. And when it hits the speed dial location of the person, like my mother, that I want to call, I would then use my switch again. I'd either tap or puff, and it would call that person. When I'm done, I would, again, either tap, puff, use my nose, and that would turn the phone off. So somebody without any ability to move would be able to use this, again, provided they could. I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Hey, the switch.
We don't have pictures.
Is it like a mat? No, the switch is like for you hit it with I'm trying to. I have a question. Suppose that you've got the phone, and the person doesn't have a mobile in hand, but you have a switch. Does it hang itself up, or can you go by tapping it, or to activate that switch, or what?
We have 5 different switches. So we would need to come in and assess the person to see which of the switches work better for them. We have one that they can activate using their nose, another one they can activate using their tongue, another one they can activate with their foot, another one with their hand, or even we have one by nodding their head called it's called the pillow switch. By nodding their head, they activate the phone. And again, we have the one that by puffing into the switch, you activate the phone. Everything is activated through that switch. The turning on, the dialing, and the turning off of the phone. Did that answer?
Wow, it's amazing.
It is an amazing phone. And we would always send somebody out to one of our field advisors to help set the person up with this phone. So now we didn't show it, but we also have an accessory called the photo dialer that either somebody with vision or mobility or memory problem can use. It's another way of dialing by picture. It looks like a flip chart. It's got several pages. Each page has a chip on it, so the photo dialer knows what page it's on. And on each page you can put 4 business card size pictures. So I can put a business card for my doctor, and I'd hit the button next to his picture to call him, or a picture of my daughter, and I'd hit the black button next to her picture to call her. So again, we can't show all the equipment, but we have a lot of different equipment for each of the 5 different disabilities or difficulties. Most of you know about California Relay Service. You know we give out the TTY or teletypewriter phones, and that's kind of an antiquated type of phone now because we have the video relay. But back in 1978 when we started giving them out, they were one of the only ways a deaf person could use a phone. Well, we also in the early 80s set up the California Relay, so by dialing 711, anybody, either a deaf person using a TTY can call anybody they want through a relay operator, or a hearing person who wants to call a deaf person can dial the 711 relay and get the operator and use the operator to talk to their deaf friend who uses the TTY. You all know that's a confidential service, and it's 24 hours a day. Every day you can call 711. What many of you might not know is we added a few years ago a new component called the speech-to-speech service. And this is a newer part of the relay, not for deaf people, but for people who have a speech difficulty and who are not being understood well. So if I have cerebral palsy, or if I've had a stroke, or if I have a tumor in my mouth, or maybe I have Down syndrome and I don't speak very distinctly, and people have a hard time understanding me, I can dial 711, ask for speech-to-speech program, so I don't go to the TTY operator, I go to my speech-to-speech operator. And then let's say I want to order a pizza, I would give the operator the number for the pizza guy. When he came on, I would say, maybe not really clearly, but I would say, I want a pepperoni pizza. The pizza guy can't understand me. So then my speech-to-speech operator will revoice that. I want a pepperoni pizza. So I can be understood well. These operators have had special training to understand people with speech difficulties. And in fact, we recently set up a training line for new people to the speech-to-speech program, so that if they want to practice using the speech-to-speech relay service, they can. And it's just a wonderful program for people, again, who've had maybe traumatic brain injury, who've had a stroke, cerebral palsy, where they can be understood and use the phone without depending on a loved one to make a call for them. So how do we get a phone? Or how do you let your clients know how to get a phone? 3 easy steps, and there is our 800 number. That's the general number for anybody who has a question about our equipment, anybody who's having trouble or equipment that they receive through CTAP, anybody who wants to know how to get a phone, or they want an application, they would call that 800 number, which is 1-800-806-1191. Or they can get one online, and that's our website. They would fill out part 1 of the application, just basically their name, address, phone number, name of their phone company, sign it. Then they would need a certifying agent to verify that they have a difficulty. And that can be either, there's two different parties that can sign for all 5 of our difficulties. Either their doctor, and as long as the person's a California medical doctor, they can sign off for all 5 difficulties. So whether they're a rheumatologist, a general practitioner, a cardiologist, an oncologist, they can sign off for hearing, vision, speech, memory, or mobility. Now, the other person who can sign off for all 5 difficulties would be a Department of Rehab counselor. They can sign off for any of the 5 difficulties. Other than that, the person might also go to an audiologist or their licensed hearing aid dispenser, but they're only allowed to sign off for a hearing problem. They can also go to an optometrist who is restricted to only being able to sign off for vision. So if the person has multiple disabilities or difficulties, they want to go to a medical doctor, because the more difficulties that are signed off on, the wider choice we have in which phone we give them. We can give each person only 1 phone, but we have certain phones that are restricted to the hearing loss category, phones that are only being able to give to somebody with a vision loss, phones that are only for mobility. So if they have multiple difficulties, have all of those difficulties signed off on by your doctor. And I said we can give 1 phone per person. That doesn't mean per household. If I live in a household with 5 people who all have disabilities, each one of us can get our CTAP application signed by our doctor, and each one of us can get a CTAP phone or special equipment. After I get it signed by the certifying agent, the best thing to do is to come in if you can. We have 7 offices throughout California that are all on our website: Burbank, Riverside, Santa Ana, Fresno, Oakland, San Diego, and Fresno. So I realize that's not close to everybody, but if you can come in, you can sit down with us, hand us your application that the doctor signed. We can take time with you to figure out what is the best equipment to give you. Then you can leave that day with your phone. Our exchange policy has gotten very strict, and we'll hit it in a minute. But once we give you the phone or mail you the phone, we'll only be able to exchange if the phone is broken or if you get recertified as having a new difficulty or disability. So we want to give you the correct phone the first time. If you can't bring it in, the application, you can mail it in or fax it, but keep the phone number handy. I always tell people to put it up on the refrigerator so that they have it right there. If they have a poor memory like I do, it's right in front of your face, and you remember to call us a week or 2 later to get your phone. We'll talk to you about which phone is the best phone to send you. We don't have a catalog with the different phones. There are too many, and there's too many restrictions in which phone we can give to which disability. So we'd have you call, and we can talk to you about which phone would be best to send out. So we kind of spoke about the exchange policy. We want to be sure people are clear. If it's broken, yes, call us and we will exchange it. If you have a new disability, so let's, for example, originally I had my doctor sign off for my hearing loss. Well, now I've developed a vision problem. I need a different phone. I need the phone with the really big buttons maybe, or that talks. I can take a new CTAP application to my doctor and have my doctor sign off for vision and hearing, hearing and vision. And now I can exchange my phone that really just is more for hearing loss for a phone that would also cover vision. We'd also like to tell people, don't give our phone away or throw it away. The phone and equipment are state property. So if it's broken, call us and we'll exchange the phone. whether or not you have the box it came in, we'll exchange it. If your friend needs a CTAP phone, don't give them your phone. You can give them our phone number and we'll send them an application. And if you no longer want your phone, just call us. We'll come and pick it up. So you don't have to bring the phone back to us. Now, this is something new. CTAP is now conducting distribution events. As you recall, we only have 7 offices. And this makes it hard for people to come to us to pick their phone out once they get certified, which might make it harder for them to get the right phone. So we're doing these events that we organize out in the community. We usually try to get one of the certifying agents to come with us and do testing or be there to sign the application. For example, an audiologist brings their equipment. Let's say we're doing an event out in Palm Springs at the Senior Center. We have an audiologist come there. The audiologist will screen people, and if the person has a hearing loss, we will be there with a lot of our phones, wide variety of our phones, and we will actually be able to give the person their phone at that location. They don't have to come all the way to the Riverside office to pick up their phone. These are events we schedule, of course, in advance. They take a lot of coordination with the certifying agent and with the center that we do it at. But this is a way of doing outreach. These are more events for new customers. It's not an event for somebody who already has a phone. A lot of times people will come, they'll do all the screening, and then they'll come to us and we'll check in our database and we'll have to tell them, no, you already have a phone. And they'll say, oh, but it's not working well, or, you know, then we'll say, well, you could have just called our 800 number and we can send somebody to your home to check it out. So for anybody who's not a new customer, they're having problems, give them our 800 number. But what we'd like from you is if you have ideas of certifying agents we might work with, for example, Department of Rehab counselor would be another certifying agent that has worked with us before at distribution events. And if you have an idea of a location that would really be open to working with us in putting on a distribution event, we would love to know that. We're especially looking for places that are pretty remote from any of our 7 centers. So we probably wouldn't want to have one in Burbank because we already have a center there. But maybe we'd have one in Acton or one in Lancaster. So any ideas from you about that or ways in which you can work with us, we are very open to it. Thank you all for listening. So if there are any questions, if not though, I would like to thank you so much for taking the time and listening. There might be, and there are sometimes, the rare person we can't help with any of our equipment, but a lot of times we're able to come up with combinations of equipment that will help somebody. Like, for example, if you can't speak, we could give you a TTY to type out your message. You could use the speech-to-speech relay if you're really not being understood. But there is the rare person who we might not be able to help.
Okay. And Terry, there's another question that says, what if the phone doesn't work for their disability? Carol couldn't hear your response.
Okay. We tell the person to ask for a field visit. Many times through training the person on how to use the phone that we've given them, they will be able to use the phone very successfully. But if the field advisor gets there and sees that nothing's working and realizes that something else we have will work, she or he will make an adjustment at that time. There's one thing I'd also like to ask of you. We are always looking for new phones and equipment to bring into the program. We don't have cell phones yet, but we're looking into that. If you're aware of any cell phones or other phone equipment that are very accessible for different types of disabilities, please call our customer service and let us know about that.
Terri, this is LaCandace. Are you all looking into getting iPhones or any other kind of smartphones?
We're not looking into smartphones at this point, and I'm not sure that we will get into that realm because there is so much to the smartphones. CTAP's goal is to provide basic phone use. Traditionally, basic accessible phone use has been through the in-home phones. Now it's changing over to the cell phones, so we are looking into that. We did do a trial program with the Sidekick that was not successful due to issues with the provider. We are currently doing a trial program with the Jitterbug, which is a very simple cell phone that can be good for somebody either with vision problem, mobility, hearing problem, or memory problem. That trial program seems to be going well, but to my knowledge, we haven't looked at any iPhone type of equipment.
Okay, thank you.
As I said, though, if you see phones that are very accessible, please let us know. We'll do trial programs if there seems to be a lot of support for certain equipment. There it is. Unfortunately, it doesn't have the main 800 number or the website, does it? But any of you can call me. I'm not the best person to call for a client issue because I'm out in the field all the time. So that number is 1-800-806-1191. And our website is the last part of my email address. So it is D as in David, E as in David, T as in telephone, P as in program.org. Well, thank you again, everybody. If any of you are interested in having me come out, it's really nice to do this in person because I'll get to show you the different phones and equipment. And there's so much equipment that I didn't even get to talk about today. I appreciate you attending. I know a lot of you had a lot of familiarity with CTAP, so I hope we were able to tell you something you didn't already know.